Hi guys, do you remember me?
No!
I think maybe some of you guys do. It's been a while since I've been back on this channel. I think it has been around a year. Yeah, my upload schedule is super consistent with around one upload per year. Yes. But I'm back and I'm back with a new setup, with a mic. Oh my god, what's up with this expanded quality all of a sudden? But yeah, I'm back and actually I want to talk about something which has been requested really a lot both on YouTube and then also on my Instagram mainly. And that is the good old question of how to become a model. I always, almost daily get actually DMs from you guys asking me like how to become a model, how to move to Korea, how is it being a model in Korea, what agencies can I recommend, like so many different questions. And I usually don't really answer those DMs for exactly one of two reasons. The first one is that you guys often ask me things which I legally cannot really answer. For example, if you would ask me like, oh, like how is this agency, or like what are the contract terms about this agency? If I tell you those things, I'm making myself like eligible to get sued by that agency, and I'm not trying to get sued or risk my career, but I still want to give you guys advice, right? Also, the second reason, there are obviously a lot of beautiful girls and handsome boys in my DMs asking me advice, and for those, usually I do answer. But a lot of you guys would be interested in trying this job, but for me personally, I don't really know if you guys would fit this job. And I am aware of the risks and I am aware of what can happen if things don't turn out the way you expect them to turn out. And I don't want to inspire someone to come here and try this job when there can be so many things going wrong in that process. So those are the reasons why I usually don't answer. But as I said, I feel a responsibility towards you guys, right? I do want to give everyone advice and I want to prevent bad situations from happening. So I decided that today I'll make a comprehensive video about all the ways how you can come to Korea as an entertainer, as a model, and what are your different paths, what are the risks, what advice do I have, and how to get everything started. If you want to learn how to become a model, if you want to meet your favorite K-pop idol and become a star in Korea, then listen well and follow this video and follow me, because I promise I will upload more than once a year. I swear. Really. You can trust me. Part 1. My story. So it wasn't actually my dream to become an entertainer. When I was in high school, I was very into politics and international relations, and I wanted to study like a very specific major at university in Germany. And I wanted to stand out from the crowd. So in order to do that, after I graduated high school in 2019, I decided to come to Korea for 1 year and do an internship here at like political foundation, which is working to kind of help the North Korean population without helping the North Korean government, to explain it like simply. And I was working in that field for like a couple of months, and then after my 1 year of working holiday finished, I went back to Germany.
What happened? Why am I back in Korea?
So when I was in Germany, my situation was absolutely terrible. Not necessarily because I missed Korea so much. Of course, I also missed Korea, but financially and in my like personal life, everything went to ruins. And my daily life was honestly really terrible, to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. And I kind of had to find a way how to escape that situation. And for me, going back to Korea was the easiest way. especially because when I lived in Korea, I actually got a lot of DMs from both agencies and also just different clients asking me for model shoots. But at that time, I wasn't really into that kind of work, so I didn't take those opportunities. But when I was so sad and so depressed and wanted to escape from my situation in Germany, I remembered those opportunities, right? And after like just 1 week or like a couple of days, I signed a contract. I got my visa and then I went back all the way to Korea. And I've been here ever since then. Part 2, the visa. Those of you guys who already did a little bit of research are going to be aware that there are only a few types of visas which allow you to legally work as a model or entertainer in Korea. And those visas are going to be the E6 visa, the C4 visa, and then any type of F visa. Any other visa, for example, a student visa or like teacher to become an English teacher, are not going to allow you to work in entertainment. If you still want to work in entertainment, it is possible, but it's going to be very difficult since you have to go to the immigration office and have to get an approval to work specifically in entertainment. And unless it's like a very specific opportunity, they're probably not going to grant it. So what is the difference between those visas? Well, first of all, the visa you're most likely going to encounter is the E6 visa. An E6 visa is a long-term visa for entertainment. Usually it's going to be renewed once a year and it allows you to work in entertainment. It doesn't allow you to work in other fields. So if you are not sure if you can make a sustainable income on only entertainment work, then really think about it well, because you can put yourself into poverty basically. The second visa is the C4 visa. It's pretty much the same thing, just on a shorter duration. A C4 visa usually is for 3 months, but it can be extended for 6 months. And it's usually going to be given by you if you come to Korea with a Korean agency over your mother agency. So in that case, the contracts are usually 3 months or a little bit longer, like 4 or 5 months. So they're just going to give you a C4 visa. And then the last thing, an F visa. An F visa we also call a residency visa, which is basically the visa of freedom. So you can have it if you live in Korea for a really long time, if you're married to a Korean spouse, or maybe if you're an overseas Korean. So you have Korean family, but you just didn't grow up in Korea. So in that case, you can get a different type of F visa. And if you have an F visa, it's basically like a key to freedom, because most of the F visas allow you to do pretty much any job, and entertainment is included in that, obviously. So you can technically work as an English teacher, you can work as an actor on the side, and if you want, you can also, I don't know, open your own restaurant. No one cares if it's a F visa, but you can never do that if you're under a E6 visa or any other job-specific visa. So please be aware of that, because you can put yourself into legal difficulties. How to get an E6 visa or how to get a C4 visa depends on the road you want to take, but I will show you exactly what are your options for getting that visa and how to find the right company which works for you. Part 3. Becoming a model with a mother agency. Traditionally, the first place you will go to if you want to become a model is a so-called mother agency. And a mother agency is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically an agency which is kind of like your mother. They train you, they teach you, and they help you when you get in trouble. So how a mother agency usually operates is that they find a model, they scout it, they build a portfolio for that model, and then they will start sending that model abroad on different contracts. Your mother agency might think that your profile perfectly suits a Korean agency, so they will suggest your profile to different agencies in Korea, and among those they will pick the ones which they think they are the most responsible or just offer the best contract terms, and then send you to work there for 3 months. And if it goes well, sometimes they extend the contract to another 3 months, so up to 6 months. But usually the normal term for a contract with the mother agency is going to be 3 months. The advantage of a mother agencies are very, very diverse. So first of all, you have a very big element of safety. You will be sent on different contracts to different countries. And let's say if I had to go all by myself to like Indonesia, to Thailand, to Japan, to Korea, to China, I would be extremely overwhelmed. But since your mother agency is there and takes care of all of those difficulties and make sure that you have good, responsible agencies to work with, you don't really have to worry about those things. And even if there is an issue, your mother agency is going to help you get out of those situations. So having a mother agency is going to be a really, really big advantage, especially in the department of safety. Also, a mother agency usually has really, really good opportunities if you really want to become a professional, like worldwide active model. If you want to live in like only one certain country, like Korea, for example, maybe going with a mother agency might not be the right choice. But if you want to build your portfolio and you really want to become a respected, good model, then going with a mother agency obviously is going to give you a lot more advantages. And even just saying like, oh, I'm a professional model, but I don't have a mother agency, still makes you sound, unfortunately, less professional in the modeling industry. There are still a lot of stigmas regarding to freelance models. We are seen as like less professional or just like baby models who don't really know what they're doing, which I think is obviously nonsense because the world has changed so much and there are a lot of good models without the mother agency. But you cannot help but still have those accusations always surrounding you. So if you're looking to travel the world and have a safe companion which helps you in every way, a mother agency is going to be exactly that for you. On the other side though, a mother agency obviously is not for free. Usually you have to give a certain percentage of your income to your agency, which is in most cases going to be 10%, but also a mother agency has a lot of different rules. So let's say you're not the most traditional type of model. Maybe you're a little bit older, maybe you're a little bit smaller, or maybe your face is just very different from the usual model face. In that case, going to a mother agency is rather going to hinder you from different opportunities. If you're with a mother agency, it means that there is regulations to a certain point and also prices are going to be more expensive. But if you're not the most traditional type who might get those expensive jobs, you maybe might rob yourself from different opportunities. Or maybe you might not even be able to get a mother agency because they simply just think that you're not worth it, which is not true at all because everyone has a chance in the modeling market. There are always going to be risks, but just because a mother agency is not interested in you doesn't mean you're not a good model. I think if you're not the most traditional type, you don't necessarily need to look for a mother agency. But even if you decide to look for a mother agency, then the one thing I highly recommend is to look very broadly. So a good example is me. I'm kind of short, so my height is 171 centimeters, which is perfect for Asia, but very small for Europe. So most European mother agencies, they don't look for models which they will send to Asia. They look for models which they mostly want to send to different European countries, and that is because European jobs and European clients have a lot more budget. So they wouldn't necessarily look at someone like me who's already way too small for their market. Even though they could send me to Asia, they wouldn't consider it to be worth it. So someone like me has a better chance in finding a good suitable mother agency when looking internationally. So either mother agencies who are not specifically located in a certain country or some who might be located in Eastern Europe. There are a lot of mother agencies in Eastern Europe, and they have a lot more chances to send you to Asia because they both have good connections to Asia and also to Europe. So for someone like me, going maybe to an agency which is based in Ukraine or in Russia or Belarus might give me better opportunities to find more suitable clients and more suitable international agencies. So for someone who has kind of a similar situation to me, I do recommend you guys to really open your horizon and look internationally, because you will find really good people to work with. If you just look in your own country, the options are going to be very, very limited, and you might have a hard time finding someone suitable for you. So let's say you find the mother agency of your dreams and they're going to send you on your very, very first contract abroad, which is going to be 3 months. And in the case of Korea, we already learned that the visa you will get is the so-called C4 visa. Usually the agency in Korea, so the local agency, is going to pay for your expenses. So in that case, it's going to be like the plane ride, it's going to be your accommodation, and then also pocket money. And if you have any other things you really, really need. So for example, it might be a SIM card, or it might be just the costs of like printing your com cards and stuff like this. And then later, after 3 months, you kind of get a pay slip, right? So those things, they will usually minus and deduct from your pay slip and then give you your leftover money. If you go for 3 months, the question is often, can you really earn a lot of money? And I always do think that it depends on luck. You have a very big advantage over people who live in Korea or live in that country for a long time, because you're new. You're a new face and you have a sort of novelty about you, which makes you much more interesting. And if you leave after 3 months and go to another country and to another country and another country, and then you come back, you will have that novelty factor again, which makes your career usually more long lasting, because people don't really get sick of you because they just don't see you that often. So you really just need to be lucky that you get a lot of good jobs and you have a really good contract where the agency maybe tries to get a cheap flight for you, or they might try to reduce the cost of accommodation by giving you like a big house with a lot of girls in it. But on the other hand, regardless if you make a lot of money or not, you can basically travel for free. So even if you don't make a lot of money, you still get pocket money and you can just do whatever you want in your free time. Obviously, unless it's illegal and unless it hinders you from going to work. So you can really do anything you want. And I see a lot of models always who honestly don't really seem that interested in modeling, but they just love the traveling factor of it. Also, what's usually good is that most contracts, but you need to check obviously for each contract yourself, have a line saying that even if you don't make any money, you don't have to pay back all of those expenses. So let's say you were really unlucky, you go to, let's say, Japan, and you were there for 3 months, but you don't have a single job. Obviously, you still have things to pay, right? Your agency paid for your flight, for your accommodation, they give you pocket money and maybe pay for your SIM card. So in those cases, you might be worried that you have a lot of debt to repay, but in 99% of the cases, you wouldn't have to pay back that money, because the agency also has a responsibility towards you, right? They thought that you make a lot of money. That's why they made a contract with you. And that's the risk they just decided to take when making a contract. Also, if you make a lot of good money in one country, you do have a lot more opportunities. So let's say you love Korea, you have been in Korea on a C4, like 3 months contract a couple of times, and you really love it, and you also have a good amount of jobs, so your agency is satisfied, your mother agency is satisfied, and you're also satisfied. In that case, you can just ask your mother agency and your local agency to give you an E6 visa instead. So basically, you would sign an exclusive contract for long term. In that case, it's going to be almost the same as if you just signed a contract with foreign agency in the first place. So let's say you want to come to Korea. You don't have a mother agency, you just sign an exclusive contract with an agency in Korea. It's going to be pretty much the same, except for that you still have your mother agency to kind of take care of you. And obviously, as I said, they're going to take a small percentage, usually 10%, and then your local agency is also going to take a percentage. But you have that safety, that you know that no matter, even if something bad happens, your mother agency is always going to protect you. So even if you have a mother agency, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep traveling the world and you have to always go somewhere else. You definitely have the option to, and a lot of mother agencies will recommend that, especially because, as I told you, that novelty factor, to keep you fresh, to keep it interesting, right? But you can also just settle down in one country with your mother agency if they allow that to happen and if you make a good money in that country. Part 4. Becoming a model as a freelancer. Okay, going with the mother agency is the most common traditional way. Especially a couple of years ago, that was pretty much the only way how to work as a model. But obviously, times have changed and there is a lot of things you can do even without the mother agency. So let's say you're in your guys' country. You want to work as a model, but you know that you're just not the most traditional type. You might be a little bit short or you might be a little bit older. I really, really want to recommend you guys to not worry about age that much. I see so many girls who are still in their 30s who work really well, or guys who are like in their 40s or 50s, and even senior models who make more money than like an office worker or like an accountant or all of those traditional jobs. So really, there is no limit for entertainment. There is no limit for modeling. Please get that idea out of your mind, because I know that a lot of you guys will think that you will be already too old if you're just 25 or something. So let's take a perfect example of a beautiful, handsome guy who wants to become a model, but he doesn't want to sign with the mother agency because he thinks that there are way too many restrictions. And that person is our good old friend, Ryan. So Ryan over here wants to become a model. He doesn't like the idea of going to a mother agency. There are too many rules and he likes to have his freedom. The way how to get jobs is pretty diverse these days, but I think the two most common ways on how to find jobs as a freelancer is going to be social media and then different job searching websites. So those websites differ from country to country, so I cannot really give you tips about that too much. But each country has their own market for different acting roles or for different modeling jobs. So those websites are going to be extremely helpful. But then I do believe that the most important thing these days is social media. If you have a good social media presence where people see that you're handsome and attractive, obviously people are going to want to work with you. A tip on how to become a model I have commonly seen is to build a portfolio, to enter like different Facebook groups and then ask photographers and makeup artists for like collaboration. And I personally kind of really recommend it. From my personal experience, I haven't really seen a lot of professional photographers in those groups. There might be some, obviously, but majority is going to be a little bit weird, at least in my opinion. And I honestly think if it's those kind of pictures, just having no portfolio might even be better, especially because a lot of them, their pictures tend to be a little bit provocative, and that's not going to help your modeling career in any way. So don't feel pressured to get portfolio done in that kind of way. I do believe the best way of making a good portfolio is also by social media. So you can just upload your own pictures and put like related hashtags, like, I don't know, let's say you're based in Colombia, then you can just put like hashtag modeling Colombia, Colombia model, Colombian girls, or stuff like that. And instead you should also look for different photographers or makeup artists in your area and then contact them by yourself. And even if they might look a little bit too professional for you, don't hesitate and contact them, because you never know, they might be really interested in you. But also be aware that you're basically asking for a free shoot. So please be respectful and kind and don't demand free shoots. So let's go back to our good friend Ryan. He already did that. He contacted so many people from Instagram and he has kind of a good portfolio now. He even got some job offers and he's doing kind of well, but he doesn't want to stay in Germany. He thinks that he can do much better in another place. So he's looking for an agency internationally to sign him. There are two options about what Ryan can do in that situation. The first one is going to be to go to an agency internationally and then make an exclusive contract with them. It's basically the same thing as if you go through a mother agency and then stay long term with an international agency. It's going to be pretty much the same, just that there's no mother agency in the middle protecting you, but also no mother agency in the middle taking money from you. The second way of going about it is to look for an agency in another country, which allows you to work as a freelancer. Obviously, you can't just go to another country, have no visa and no residency status there, and then just work there. You're a tourist. You need to get the right documents and the right legal certifications so that you can work abroad. So in case of our cute little Ryan, he wants to go to Korea. It's our perfect example. So what he will do is he will look for a couple of different agencies in Korea, contact them, send his portfolio, and then first see what they offer. Some of them are going to show him some exclusive contracts and some are going to be freelance contracts, and it totally depends on Ryan's personal opinions and personal working style on what is the right fit for him. I honestly never believed that one is better than the other, so some people prefer exclusive contracts and some prefer freelance contracts. Both has benefits and disadvantages, so it's really up to the person to see what's better for him. Okay, let's put our friend in the background again. So in the case of Ryan, he kind of wants to explore both opportunities. So the first thing is he checks out different exclusive agencies. If you go to an exclusive agency, it's going to have a big advantage of management. Exclusive agencies are basically going to do everything for you. They're going to be responsible for your finances, for your schedule, for your appearance, and basically for your whole career. And that's really amazing if you have a lot of potential and if that agency is also very professional. So let's say Ryan, he is maybe not as good of a model as he expects and as the agency thinks, or the agency maybe just doesn't have as many jobs as they expected they will. In that case, if Ryan signs an exclusive contract with that agency, things might go to pretty easily. And that is because the agency has the sole rights of management for him. So in reality, what it looks like is that Ryan comes to Korea on an E6 visa. We remember that E6 visas only allow us to work in entertainment and arts. The agency has the sole rights of management, so they're the only ones who can book jobs for him. But there are no jobs. Whatever the reason is, if it's Ryan's fault, if it's the agency's fault, if it's the market's fault, there are no jobs and Ryan doesn't earn any money. Ryan didn't check the contract that well and he realized that, he actually doesn't get pocket money and also no accommodation. So he needs to pay every single thing by himself. Well, how is Ryan supposed to do that when there's no money coming in? Right? Those situations happen much more frequently than you might think, and you're basically pushing yourself into poverty when you don't have to do that. Ryan is in a very difficult situation where he legally cannot take any other jobs because of the immigration laws, but he also doesn't just want to go back to his country and give up his dreams. So in those situations, it's a really tough call on what to do. If you're lucky, your agency might release you or change your contract for you, or maybe you are lucky that you have another job you can do from your computer and make money while being abroad, or maybe your parents can financially support you. But if all of that is not the case, you really put yourself in a difficult situation where you might be unable to just pay your simple bills. And you might think that that is just enough to go and terminate a contract, but most contracts in entertainment are actually not that easy to terminate. You often see it with like K-pop idols having issues with their companies, and that all has those reasons. Contracts are very complex and they might be not as easy to cancel as you might think. Or even if you cancel them, it's virtually impossible because you have to pay such huge penalties, or there are going to be so many restrictions on your future career. So this is just my personal preference, but I honestly don't really recommend people to sign exclusive contracts as a model if pocket money and accommodation is not provided. If you don't have that provided, you might really trap yourself in a really difficult situation. And what often happens, and I saw this unfortunately a lot of times, is that especially girls, they end up going down a really weird and wrong path, going into, let's call it like nightly work, have no money to just feed themselves. So they look for easy jobs where they can earn a lot of money. And those jobs usually are not going to be those like normal jobs, like a cafe or like a normal bar. They might look for a sugar daddy or just like a rich boyfriend who can provide their living expenses. And that is such a extremely dangerous path to go down to, and I see it happen so many times. And I want you guys to not go down that same path, or even let's say you want to go down that path, then you should be able to choose to go down that path and not do it because you're literally stuck in a situation where you have absolutely no money and no way of paying just for water, for electricity, for your rent. So what exactly does change when you decide to just go for a freelance contract instead? Obviously, it's still going to be the basic same formula, but the main difference is going to be that the responsibility of your jobs is going to lie at your side. So if your agency doesn't provide any jobs for you, you can't really say something about that because that responsibility lies in you. So it basically means that you have to look for your own jobs, which is going to be helpful but also exhausting. So you have to choose for yourself if it's worth it for you or not. If you book a job with an agency, obviously the budget needs to be pretty high. The agency takes a cut. Usually there are going to be translators at the job, and usually in most cases a mother agency is also going to take a cut. So booking a job over an agency is going to be expensive. But if you work as a freelancer, you can kind of decide the price by your own interest. So let's say you don't have a lot of jobs and you don't really know what to do. In that case, you can just lower your price and try to look for lower quality jobs just in order to make a living. You can go and message people on Instagram and try to look for jobs, or if you even want, you can go to like an exhibition and just hand out your comp cards. You're allowed to do those things, and you would never be allowed to do those things if you're on an exclusive contract. So it gives you a freedom to adjust basically to your situation. If you don't have jobs, lower your price. If you have a lot, you can make your price higher. You can change your appearance as you want. And that, guys, is going to be extremely helpful if you're exactly that non-traditional type. If you're a non-traditional type, you need to find your niche, and your niche is going to be really hard to find if you work with an agency. So if you're going to be willing to put in the extra work, you can find much better jobs fitting exactly your type if you just work by yourself as a freelancer. But your biggest advantage is also going to be your biggest disadvantage at the same time. Obviously, being able to decide everything by your own is a really good thing, but it also means that you have to do everything by your own. Those things which are usually put in different departments like marketing, sales, accounting, you have to put everything into your hands. You have to think about it really well, what fits your style more. I personally love to just do things by myself. I don't really trust other people with my work. So for me, being a freelancer is just the best choice ever. But I also know a lot of girls, surprisingly much more than I expected, who exactly dislike doing those things. They're models. Why do I need to be an accountant? Why do I need to be a marketer? I just want to model and do my job. And that's very legit. Obviously, you don't apply to become an accountant. You apply to become a model. So I totally get all of those different perspectives, and I think it's really just a thing of preference. Part 5, the Q&A. Before we finish this video, I also wrote down some of the questions I mostly get in the DMs, so we can specifically go into detail about those certain questions that you guys are so curious about. The first one is, Do I recommend going with a model agency or as a freelancer? And when I say freelancer, I don't necessarily mean like working as a freelancer, but just working without the model agency. I do think it depends from person to person. If you want to grow like a really big modeling career or you want to travel the world, then going with the model agency is going to be your safest and best choice. That if you just want to stay in a certain place and try to build your career there, just going by yourself as a freelancer with a direct agency abroad might be a better choice. Question number 2, do I recommend exclusive contract or non-exclusive contract? And same as I said before, I think it's all about preference. But if you have an exclusive contract, even more check what's inside the contract, because you're totally dependent on the agency. So you need to be sure that you can really 100% trust them with all of your life. Do I need to speak Korean to work in Korea as an artist? I personally would say yes, but that doesn't really represent the reality. Most models or actors I meet in daily life, they only speak very, very basic Korean. So they would know simple terms like change your clothes or look straight, but they wouldn't be able to like have a full-on conversation. And I do think that if you know those like basic things, it's going to be enough, but it's not going to be a big advantage. Clients want to work with someone they can work with comfortably. And if you can do that, if you can speak freely, you're going to be that person for them. Oh, I'm a plus size model. Do you think I can work in Korea? That's also a really, really good question. I think yes and no. Definitely these days there are more jobs available for plus size models and there are going to be opportunities. But if you only come here as a plus size model on an E6 visa and you don't have another source of income, you're going to have a hard time, because there are going to be opportunities, but I'm not sure if there will be enough to make a living. How can I check if my agency is legit? Both for model agency and also agencies, direct agencies abroad, I recommend you guys to check on Telegram. A lot of agencies won't have an international like social media page. So you might think that they're not legit just because they are like a small agency, but it really doesn't mean that at all. So I would highly recommend you to just check on Telegram. Or if you have a hard time using Telegram, then just message those models they show on their website or on their social media and ask them for reviews. Can you meet a lot of K-pop stars and how? Definitely when you work in entertainment in Korea, you're going to meet a lot of celebrities, but it depends on what kind of jobs you do. So I mostly just do regular lookbooks or editorials. So it's most of the time only going to be me or maybe another male model and sometimes another female model. So there are no really celebrities involved except for like 1 or 2 times. But if you are working in a very diverse type of jobs, there are going to be a lot of drama extra shoots and also a lot of music video shoots. And these days they really start to like to use foreigners for music video shoots. So if you're just looking for those jobs, they're going to be a lot available. Yeah, and that's it. That's all the questions. If I missed something or you guys are curious about something which I didn't mention, then please let me know, because as I said, I see way too many cases of people being exploited or putting themselves into bad situation, and I don't want that to happen for you guys too. I want to give helpful advice and I want to be sure that everyone can follow their dreams in a safe way. Because really, like, being safe is so important, and you're going to regret it later just because you wanted to try something. So if you have any further questions, you can ask me here in the comments, or you can message me on Instagram, and then I can make a part 2 or maybe just a small Q&A on Instagram. Let's see. And yeah, have a good day. Have an amazing career if that's what you're going to pursue. So good luck, guys, and enjoy your modeling life from now on. 화이팅! Bye bye!